Now that I have a good amount of experience on VFC ARs, I have put together a guide on how to make yours run better. This guide was put together from my experience and research, so if I miss anything, it's probably because I haven't seen it or tried it out. With all things considered, let's begin with the first thing you must do when you receive your replica. Shoot it and play with it. This will show what you want out of the replica. You might even find that you don't need to invest any extra money at all. Also, I found that new VFCs take some time to break in, so if your new replica isn't performing up to par in terms of accuracy or gas efficiency, you might need to keep using it while it breaks in. With that being said, let's get into it. First and foremost, clean out your inner barrel. Use a barrel cleaner with a paper towel at the end and go through your barrel until it is clean. I recommend to use the heaviest quality BBs possible to ensure the best accuracy. For outdoors, .32s are cost effective and heavy enough to stay on target. For indoors, I would use the heaviest possible since there are certain restrictions. So now that you've played with the replica, shot at least 500 to 1000 rounds, and found out that the accuracy isn't up to par, now you can start tinkering with your hop-up. I'll show you a brief tutorial on how to get to the hop-up on my 416A5, which is very similar to the procedure for most other VFC ARs. The hop-up assembly is also pretty much the same. While that is happening, I'll talk about some upgrades. First, if you're having a lot of inconsistencies, I'd consider removing the hop-up and ensuring that everything is seated correctly before reassembling and tightening down everything, including the entire guide hop system and barrel assembly. There should be no play at all. If you're experiencing a lot of overhopping, I'd recommend filing down the hop arm. Just make sure to test it as you go to avoid filing too much off. The first upgrade I would recommend would be a quality 6.03 inner barrel. Note that the tighter bore of the inner barrel, the more FPS you get, not accuracy. Therefore, a 6.03 is ideal. Anyway, EDGI or Unicorn both makes high quality inner barrels. Upgrading your bucking should come last after a new inner barrel because the VFC OEM already works well. But for upgrades, I would recommend the PDI W-Hold 70 degrees, Quantum, or Maple Leaf. A really good hop setup right now is the Quantum Magnus Pro TDC combined with their bucking. This setup does require you to ditch the guide hop and is a drop-in fit unless you have an HK416A5 like mine that has the adjustable gas block as the hop adjustment. Then you would need a Z-part outer barrel as well. In my experience, I actually found the guide hop system to be very convenient, so ditching it would be my last option. Because your replica will already be shooting lasers after adjustments to the hop-up, installation of a new quality inner barrel, and maybe a bucking. Before you buy anything to improve performance in the cold, try extending the hammer screw and playing with that to see if performance is to your liking. Small tip, add an O-ring to the hammer screw to prevent it from self-adjusting. An upgrade I really like is the AMG Winter Hammer Spring. It improves cycling in cold weather noticeably. It's also one of the most practical ways to increase fire rate, since there are no downsides. This can be installed year-round if you like the faster fire rate. Another upgrade that can further improve performance in colder temps is the AMG Winter Buffer Spring. With both winter springs installed, the replica will function pretty well at cold temps. I would recommend only having the winter buffer spring installed during colder months, since it can cause more wear on your internals. In my opinion, the AMG Winter Hammer Spring and extending the hammer is all you need when playing at around 40 Fahrenheit. Once the temperature drops even lower, then you can install the weaker buffer spring. If for some reason the winter spring combo doesn't yield good enough performance, there's always stronger gas you could use. Despite the common belief that super light bolt carriers are better for efficiency, I found the weight of the bolt to not be important as long as it isn't too heavy or too light. Let's talk about bolt carriers. Depending on what model you have, you will either have a steel or a zinc bolt carrier. Both will serve you well, but the steel bolt carrier will be more durable and heavier, resulting in more recoil. So if you have a zinc bolt and want to upgrade to steel, there are a few aftermarket options. The Z-Part steel bolt carrier is a nice option. It's built well and has a magnesium phosphate finish, which looks nice. It weighs 226 grams initially and also includes a 12 and 54 gram weights that you can add, adding up to a whopping 292 grams. But it's not perfect because the hex screw strips easily and the tolerances are not correct, being slightly too long for the upper receiver to come down into the lower. It's an annoyance, but I can slide the upper in instead. This is the most expensive option since you would need to buy the Z-Part bolt, nozzle guide, and a VFC nozzle. All of this cost me $165 USD, plus shipping. Crusader is another option. It is solid, being made out of steel, and it comes with a NPAS out of the box. It is a lot cheaper, coming completely ready to drop right in, and also being more readily available. This cost me $127 USD, plus shipping. There are definitely other options out there, but these two are the ones I have experience with. Side note, AR bolt carriers are not compatible with HK's 416s due to the gas key, while 416 bolts are compatible with ARs. The stock buffer works well, although it doesn't completely prevent bolt bounce, which can be a problem in some cases, and it makes an annoying clicky noise when racked. It does have a strong spring in the back, which increases the fire rate. Real steel carbine buffers are a drop-in, which will eliminate bolt bounce and the noise, but it will also decrease the fire rate slightly. Just use whatever works for you. The hammer and recoil springs will also affect the recoil impulse. The AMG Winter Hammer Spring increases the fire rate, but will probably slightly decrease the initial snap of the recoil. I would recommend it if you like a faster fire rate with no downsides. I wouldn't recommend using the AMG Winter Recoil Spring, unless you want a slow fire rate. Here's the recoil impulse with a fat 292 gram Z-Part bolt and an 84 gram rear steel buffer, adding up to 376 grams of reciprocating mass. Here's the same setup, but with the AMG Winter Hammer Spring. With an aftermarket steel bolt, a light replica like the XM177 can have some pretty insane recoil. In my opinion, you'll be pretty happy with how much a stock VFC AR will kick. If your replica don't have it already, I recommend getting an NPAS for your nozzle to easily adjust the FPS. You can get the CL adjustable NPAS and install it into your nozzle, or get a completed VFC nozzle with an included NPAS. If you do not like the stock charging handles, Real Steel charging handles are a drop-in upgrade. Here are some stock selector for reference. Personally, I think the stock selector is already great, but if it isn't good enough for you, it can be improved upon by using a Real Steel selector detent spring. Note, you will need a Real Steel pistol grip, since VFC's pistol grip do not have a hole for the spring. Real Steel selectors will also fit. Real Steel magazine release will also fit, but you may need to do some fouling and will have to use the stock spring. How the trigger feels is completely dependent on what model you have, but in my opinion, they are all pretty good. But if you want a specific 2-stage trigger, Crusader makes one. If you want a flat trigger, Crusader also makes one. Magpul's bad lever also fits with some shimming, so those are an option if you're into that. Some VFC 416 dust covers can have trouble closing. To fix this, you can file the right side of the dust covered nub into more of a ramp. Make sure you go slow and check it as you go. Real Steel dust covers are also a drop-in. You just have to use the stock rod. I don't know why you would want one, but to get a functional forward exist, all you need to do is get a Real Steel forward exist and use a stock row pin. I found that most VFC ARs come with a pretty well built stock, although it can have some wobble, which can be shimmed out with some Velcro or tape on the buffer tube. VFCs will readily accept Real Steel stock as well, and some may need shimming to reduce wobble. Real Steel pistol grips are a drop-in, but do require you to either plug the detent spring hole or use a Real Steel detent spring for your selector. Stock handguards are pretty solid, but if you want to change it out, the barrel nut is Real Steel spec. The receiver threadings are also compatible with Real Steel barrel nuts. One essential upgrade I would recommend is a sling. I personally like to use a 2-point since they are very versatile. For my setup, I'm using a Magpul MS1 attached to my SMR handguard and the end of the stock. For magazines, the best would be the VFC M16A2 Stanag magazines because they are the latest iteration with the improved mag catch surface. The slightly older V3 Gary works without a problem though. In my experience, older HK and VMags can have unreliable mag catches. VFC also makes CO2 PMags, which works great in the cold, despite being able to only shoot 78 shots in one capsule. There's also short mags, which hold less gas and only 20 BBs. There's no advantage of using them over the 30 rounders, but you can use them for a kit impression. Side note, if you like to drop your magazines, the tabs on the bottom are fragile and can break easily. If you want to give them some protection, A magpole will work perfectly. You can also cut it if you hate the bottom. Just make sure it protrudes out more than the base of the mag. In conclusion, all you really need to do is make sure your replica shoots straight, and maybe the winter hammer spring. Just one or two of these changes, and you'll have a replica that not only performs well, but is also super fun to use. Combined with the insane real steel compatibility, this makes VFC ARs one of the best bases for any build. And that's pretty much it. Feel free to share your tips or any useful information that I didn't cover. It will help us all. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, subscribe, leave a like, and comment to support my channel. Thanks for watching.